how I used to love Survivor. I think my dad and my sister still watch it, but I can't do it anymore. I mean, it's just devolved. It's a game show for crying out loud. So I don't understand why I'm watching a game show and all of a sudden I need to hear about why this person is gay or why they're a transformer for whatever reason. I mean, that's cool and all. Do you, bro? But like, I'm trying to watch people survive in the forest and win $1 million. And this is kind of when I was really convinced it wasn't even the genderist politics or the cramming of politics through. This is when I knew this show, I guess, jumped the shark. I don't know if reality shows jump the shark, but whatever the reality TV version of that is, would be because when they switched, they had to do everything during COVID. They switched the rules around. So they basically said, because this is COVID, I'm assuming because, they're trying to get in and out of this country. So they had to do the game very quickly, or maybe they were up against a deadline for CBS to get that out. I don't know. I couldn't find any information on that specifically, but it seemed they were clearly in a rush to get this season out. So they, instead of it being, I think it was like 40 days, 36 days, kind of moved. I think it was at least a month, 35, 40 days. In the COVID one that they did, or, the one that came out after COVID, it was a lot fast. It was more rushed. I don't even remember how many days they did. It might have been a month, maybe even 3 weeks. But the idea was like, oh, we're going to throw things at you in a more of a fast pace to change the game, which I think that was leading on to more than they realized, because I gave them that. I was like, okay, well, COVID's going on. Everyone's kind of scrambling here. This is probably what they had to work with based on, for whatever reason, the Fiji government, CBS, whichever, the production company. It wasn't until I think this was like 2022, the fall, because I watched them all the way through. I kind of gritted my teeth, or I just fast forward through, when because they were really getting gendery politic there, 2020, 2021. And I believe it's the fall of 2022 when they started that one. If that's the one where the guy who won and donated all of his shit to the military, that was the season I stopped watching at. I think that was the last fall, basically. What I remember is them announcing that they were going to keep the same rules that they had during COVID. And, why is that a big deal, you ask? Well, if you look at who had been winning Survivor from 2000 to roughly 2020, it was the majority of men, I believe. And, I think there was, I'm not saying women didn't win. There were a few, but the majority of those 20 people for the first 20 years, I think there was like 30 to 40 players, I believe. It was mostly men. And then I think in the year that they shortened the season up, a woman magically wins. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, there's plenty of, I think there's a Bear Grylls thing out there that talks about, I can't believe what is it? Okay, we're talking about Survivor. We'll get to where the podcast is going. I promise. I want to ramble on about Survivor because this has been making me mad. It's what grinds my gears. So they shortened the COVID season, and again, if you look up to that point, like it was mostly men, but in that COVID season, a woman won. So I'm sure there was some producer somewhere in that production house that was like, hey, you know what? I know how we can push this narrative. We can change the rules, sell it like this, So, they say like, oh, we're just going to do this to change the pace of the game, give it another angle. It's the ever-evolving game of Survivor, Or are you just thumbing the scales so you can get more chicks to win? Because that's what I'm guessing. So now I'm dealing with that. Now I'm dealing with random people talking about why they're gay or transformers or whatever. Again, that is fine. But this show is about surviving in the jungle, winning $1 million, and the social parameters around that. Now, if you want to say like, oh, this is, this is relevant to society, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I guess, but I don't need a 5-minute segment on why this person likes to suck cock. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, this has nothing to do with the matter at hand. Do you remember, what was that one game they used to play where it was like, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, stop!
All fake news. It's phony stuff.
It is phony stuff. Didn't happen. What if they were playing that game and then, instead of, the whammy stop, he's like, I would like to talk about why the environment is the environment. What the fuck is this? This is a game show. Nobody cares about your fucking politics. Okay.